Welcome back to Burn the Ship, the podcast we connect entrepreneurs, professionals to help you go all in on your business. I'm your host, Ezra Brown. And without further ado, I'm going to allow my guest to introduce himself.
Hello, I'm Lance Williamson. I'm with American Family Insurance. Been doing it for about 12, 13 years and love it.
Yeah, Lance, I appreciate you joining us today. Thank you for coming to sit down, talk a little bit about your business and your journey. So Lance, tell the people a little bit about your story. You know, only 12 or 13 years. I can see a little gray in your hair. You've been around business longer than that, but kind of what's your journey been like before and then to entrepreneurship?
Well, I'll tell you what brought me here. And you know, as soon as I graduated college, I graduated with a PR degree, but I did nothing with PR. I went straight into sales.
Okay.
Did industrial sales when I first started out, learned what not to do. As far as, you know, kind of learn what I needed to get better at. And then after that, I changed over to direct marketing, working at a marketing firm. And that's where I learned how to do the hard sales, the direct sales right in front of people, knocking on doors, 75 to 100 a day. The most exhausting job I've ever had, but the most beneficial job I've ever had because it taught me how to sell, taught me how to create relationships in a very small amount of time. But also it's one of those things where I knew I could do it for the rest of my life.
Right.
So my next endeavor was working at a bank. So worked with a bank that's no longer with us. Back in 2008, 2000, during the crash, it was bought out and eventually was taken over in 2010, but won't name the bank. But I learned how to be more of a consultative salesperson. Basically, when you're dealing with people's money, it's kind of emotional. So I'm one of those guys that had to turn the frown upside down, so to speak. So if they were, and sometimes when I say emotional, they're either upset or angry. If they're angry, I come from a place of we're going to resolve this situation to the point where it never happens again because we don't want you to go through this ever again. So that's what I enjoyed about that job. I enjoyed it. I loved it. I loved teaching. I loved educating people. The thing that I didn't love about that job, it was a corporate. It was a big bank corporation. Right. There's a lot of things you can't control that are beyond your control. That you know, it's somebody above you might have a different idea, or might have the wrong idea, or might have a you know, might not like you, and they might want to try to figure out a way to move you over here versus where you actually want to go. I'm just talking in general terms. Saw a lot of my coworkers and went through a lot during the transition. It wasn't great. So my next job was kind of a, you know, I left there, but I had a little in-betweener job when I was just selling water. Okay. Very simple, easy job. It's just paying the bills until I opened up. That was around 2011. 2010 to early 2012, I did that. And that bought my time to where I started opening up my agency. Actually, I didn't open up my agency. I started with American Family back in 2012 as an agent in training. I did that on purpose. I had an option of opening my agency right away or doing up to a year agent in training. So I was one of those guys, like, if I'm going to open something up, I'm going to make sure I got all the tools I need to get, you know, to be successful. Right. So I'm not just going to jump out there and you know, and hope for the best. I want to be, you know, ready to go. Right. So it took me about 9 months. They said 12 months, but it took me about 9 months to get where I needed to be. Confidence level, understanding. Very successful as an AIT, agent in training. So I opened up in 2013, and boy, I'm going to tell you something. Running your own business is very, very stressful, but at the same time, very, very rewarding. So I'm doing all those things. I'm learning what not to do. One thing about being an entrepreneur is that you need to be willing to learn from your mistakes, and then, you know, make the best of every situation. Right. So just kind of, you know, grew slow on purpose. A lot of people try to you know, they make it more of a sprint. I'm more of a marathon guy. I'm a long-term guy.
It's a crock pot.
Yeah. So it's just doing it the right way, trying to do right by my customers is the biggest thing. We're not 100, you know, sometimes we make mistakes. The biggest thing is owning up to them. Also, the biggest thing, the hardest part of my job is not selling. That's the easy part. The hardest part is managing people. Right. So it took me, that was the hardest part up front, was getting the right mix of people in the office. And once I did that, things have become a lot simpler since. And if there is turnover, which there always is, it'll get easier.
But how did you sift through like finding those right people? Because I mean, obviously you've had people that work for you for a long time, but how did you kind of sift through that to figure out who it was that's going to be able to manage the personalities?
Well, at first, and I'll be honest, I went through the like Monster.com and some of those guys, and then did some interviews through them. Not just them, other companies like that.
Right.
And those were the worst candidates, worst interviews I've ever had. So I learned that as you're networking, running your business, you run into people that know people. So it's more of word of mouth now.
Right.
I already know who I'm getting before I get them.
Right.
At first, I didn't have that luxury.
Okay.
Because I didn't know. First of all, I didn't know what I was doing, and second of all, I didn't know enough people in the industry,
right,
to get the best candidate possible. Right. So that's what I do now, and it's more of a, it's not like your basic interview. Like, tell me one thing that your weakness is or whatever. No, it's not all about that. It's
right.
It's just chit-chatting.
Yeah, get personable with them.
Yeah, that's it. It's what sales is, creating relationships.
If they can't have a conversation with you, how are they going to have it with the client that's mad at them?
Amen. Yeah. How do you deal with stress? You're going to have some.
I roll over.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
But, it's good stuff. I mean, got some great people. Training's fun, but it's also a little stressful. But, I enjoy it.
So from, being in the sales world, obviously insurance is a good sales place to be, especially for long-term, I guess, wealth too. But what kind of attracted you to the insurance world? Because, I mean, you could have done thousands of other types of sales, but obviously insurance had something that attracted you to it.
Getting away from the corporate world, controlling my own destiny. It's flexible, but at the same time, it's not.
Right. Elaborate a little bit on that.
When I say it's not, okay, so how busy you are, your customers dictate your time.
Okay.
Dictate when you do this, when you do that sometimes.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, it's flexible up to a point. So if I want to leave early one day, I can do that. It's my agency.
Right.
I got people that can handle stuff, but there's sometimes where I just have too much going on.
Right.
To where I can't do that. So I have to stay. But it's good to have that.
Yeah, for sure.
And I don't have to deal with people above me so much. I mean, the only thing they really are concerned about in corporate, and there is a corporate and then you have agency, is just making sure you do things right by your customers and do things legal and do things the right, just insurance company is highly regulated. So you want to just make sure we're also trained up. Things change. We get trained up all the time in the insurance industry. It's volatile, especially right now with all these underwriting guidelines that are changing and also the premiums that are going up. But,
So, and then with that, and being that you chose insurance, obviously, and it's been very successful, what's helped you grow your business over the last 10, 15 years, whether that's, going out and networking face to face, word of mouth growing, but you think's been the biggest driving factor to helping you grow your business?
Like what you just said, going out, networking, doing some networking groups, that's helped out. That's huge. Referrals are the biggest thing. Is the most, the best prospects are referrals. When I first started out, I didn't have much to refer off of, right? I came 0 clients.
Yep.
So I purchased leads. Those leads are like, I purchased 500 and might get, 40 to 50 policies off of them.
Maybe.
No, not even that. Probably 20 off of those.
Yeah, I was about to say maybe, yeah.
I just made myself look good. That's not good. But no, it's around 20. But yeah, it's you're killing yourself.
Right.
But at least you're putting something. You're getting people in your book.
Yeah.
But they're also the ones that you purchase are also the ones that are
on the app looking around.
Well, they're looking around. They're higher maintenance. They're riskier.
Yep.
Those are the ones. But there's some diamonds in there that are just beautiful that I've had from day one that are still with me. But they're far and few in between. So. But that's what I did to start off. But I'm just growing that book of business, and that book of business, it provides me more of a referral base just within my book of business.
Right.
And then going outside my book of business, I do B&I, chamber, stuff like that. And I just get out there and meet people. But sales is not going up to somebody and presenting a product and saying, hey, buy this. It's really just about creating relationships. It's not rocket science.
And it's not, you know, like you're saying, like, insurance and credit card process are very similar because it is completely, almost nowadays, it used to could hard sell it both of them. You could hard sell 10 years ago probably pretty easily. Nowadays, it's changed a lot because we got to have so many documents to go on the back end to even know if we can help you or not.
Well, people got to trust you too. I mean,
so you got to build that relationship.
Yeah, they got to trust you. And it's crazy these days, you know, with all the what's out there in the media and what's out there among other people that just don't know what they're talking about. They'll scare people, you know, in certain ways, whether it's stocks or the market, whatever. You need to get educated.
Right.
You need somebody that you could trust that can educate you, that knows what they're doing, that doesn't have, like me, for instance. You talk to an insurance agent about insurance. If you feel comfortable around them and they're telling you about insurance and they're educating you about insurance, and at the same time they're creating a relationship with you and getting to know a little bit more about you and you're getting to know a little bit more about them, it makes it easier for them to trust you, and also they'll take your advice a lot quicker.
Right.
It's hard to trust people these days. So absolutely. I mean, there's a lot of people who don't have a clue about insurance. If I ask them what liability is, what does that entail? What's bodily injury and property damage? What's the difference? I don't know.
So yeah, and you
don't know.
That leads me right to my next question.
And that's simple stuff.
Is I hear you talk about this a lot, is doing your lunch and learns, and that's something where you can elaborate a little bit. That to the people is, you know, one of the things that y'all go above and beyond about is you take care of your people and you're informing them. You know, you're talking a little bit about it. Tell them a little bit like of what that is that you do from you all the way to the bottom of the office.
As far as informing them, each one of
just about what's going on, what their policy looks like, what the coverages are, you know.
So when we talk to people, whether it's on the phone or in person, it's always better to meet them in person, but sometimes you can't do that. But is to kind of just say, by the way, just want to make sure we go through everything and that you understand what you have, and so, you know, if there's something that we didn't catch, they can catch it because they know the why behind the coverages now. Right. So the bodily injury part, that's when you have an at-fault accident and the person that you hit has to go to the hospital. That covers up to a certain amount. Well, you know what? There's this thing called state minimums, and that's $25,000. If you hit somebody, they go to the emergency room, or if they go to intensive care, that's $40,000, $50,000 right there. So guess what? You don't have enough coverage, but you sure are saving money, right? You know, I'm saving about $5 to $10 a month. Why would you do that when you know things like that can happen? Everything's higher than it was 10 years ago, but the state minimum's been there for what, 2 or 3 decades, I believe. So, you know, as the state minimum stay the same, everything else goes up. Not to mention $25,000 in property damage. Average car costs around $40,000. Guess what? You total out another vehicle and it's your fault. As the driver, you can't afford that. So what happens? Well, if you have a savings account and the attorney finds out that they hire, they'll go after that to the point and if there's none there, they can garnish your wages. So it's extremely important to have enough coverage, and that's why we go through it with everybody. To the deductibles on collision and comprehensive. They don't even know what the difference between, some people don't know the difference between collision and comprehensive. Collision protects your car, or, you know, if you have an at-fault accident. So if you have $10,000 of damage, collision will take care of that. Or comprehensive, if a hailstorm happens and you get dings, that'll protect your car. Tree falls on it, you'll get money for that. A deer runs out in front of you. That's happened to me several times. Things like that is what comprehensive takes care of. So, and then there's so much more to homeowners as well. I mean, there's so many things in that to where we have to ask questions, and that's what we do. You ask questions, you learn about them as you go through the process, and you're able to mention certain things to them, and then they have and they're more educated about what they want to do. Now, sometimes they just do what they're going to do
Absolutely, because they're hard-headed.
Yeah, so I'm like, can you sign off on this saying that you said you didn't want this?
Yeah, please.
So you don't hold it against me if something did happen.
Right.
So, that's kind of
And then what would you say is like y'all's bread and butter, like for your company alone? 'Cause everybody's different.
Well, I mean, it changes.
Right.
It depends on the industry as a whole. I mean, at one point I was doing a lot of rental properties. Okay. And that was my bread and butter in my agency. Now it's harder to get. Companies are backing away from doing that. And there's a lot less to go to get those rental properties covered. Right. Now I have people that I can go to. Right. And I've written a few off of these guys, so I'm not losing anybody, even though American Family or certain companies might not write certain types of habitational or rental property coverages, but that's getting a little bit tougher. If you don't know about that and you're listening, call your insurance agent. If they don't know about it, then you might need to find a new insurance agent. But right now it's just home and auto, just the basic stuff, bundling. It's that 30% discount.
I got you.
And then we have a lot of discounts that we provide people that absorb the blow from any increases as well from the premiums and the high premiums. So it's kind of our bread and butter at the moment.
Absolutely. I was about to say, because I didn't know, I know that you don't have the commercial sheet, but I don't know if you do a ton of commercial insurance at all.
Do you do any? Do all of it. We broker it out too. Okay. That's what I mean when we can't do everything in habitational anymore, like certain things within the habitational, the rental dwelling side. We have other options, and I've found those perfect options. It took 3 months to figure it out and find that one or two companies that I can go to and know enough about them to know what I can write and not write.
I got you.
So that's where I'm at right now. And in fact, this month I've already just from this one company and not being able to write them through American Family, certain ones, I've written like $30-something thousand in premium just this month from that one company. Two companies. So we have options.
Yeah, that's
awesome.
A good thing. No, that's a damn good thing. What's it called? So with being an American Family and being in business, what's something that you've done really well that you've been able to lean on? I got a good idea what it is, but what would you say to the people has been one of those things where you've been able to lean on it and not have to really worry too much on that side of it? Whether that be relationships, whether that be your sales skills, whether that be your family, whatever that is, there's been something you've been able to lean on, whether when times were tough, because times ain't always been great, no matter where you're at.
Just creating solid, great relationships. Having a great family. I have my biggest motivation is my family. I have a wife and kids.
Got to pay for all them surgeries.
They had a wedding a couple weeks ago for my oldest, about 3 weeks ago. God, it's been crazy. And then I got one about to graduate. She just played her last soccer match last week. Just things like that. And she's about to start college. Obviously next year she's a senior, but my family's my motivation. I want to be able to enjoy my life as far as with my wife and my family and go on vacations whenever I can, take care of them when they need it, if they are in a bind or something like that. But it's just one of those things where I want them to kind of look and at me and what I do on it for every day and look up to me, knowing that I took on something that was very risky, and I'm doing good with it. Yeah. And they can do it as well.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I'm the least organized human being ever. Right? So it's like, okay, I got flaws, but guess what? I got people in my office that are good with that. Right. So, and I'm not perfect, but that's the thing. Nobody's perfect. If you think you're perfect or you think you got it all figured out before you start a business, you're going to find out real quick you don't. But you got people. You have the power to put people in your life that can help you with that.
Absolutely.
And that's what relationships are all about. It's not just about bringing them in and selling them stuff. It's learning from other people about why they're successful, what they're doing. And that's the biggest thing about creating relationships, because it goes beyond just bringing in new business and selling stuff. It's learning and helping them. That's a rewarding thing.
Because you don't know what John Smith down the road has to offer to you. You might think he's just a regular old peach farmer or whatnot, but then dude's got $1 billion, and it's $1 million worth of knowledge that he can give to you that you would have never known if you wouldn't open your mouth and, if you judging a book by the cover.
Yeah.
Which is something I had to learn early, too, in sales, because I was just one of those when I first got out there. I was like, I'm hitting it hard, and I'm going to hard sell everybody I come into contact with.
That's funny you said that about judging a book by its cover. I have to do that with newbies, with people that just start. I said, I don't think that. Ask. I said, why won't you ask? And sometimes, here's the other thing. I'll say, I'm teaching them and I'm coaching them, and I'm people that work for me.
Right.
And the sales says, call these people, and they say, I don't know, I just don't feel comfortable. I says, why? What if they say no? I'm like, that's just, I learned this 20 years ago. Every no is one step closer to a yes. The more no's you hear, the closer you are to the yes.
And you might get you might get 5 yeses in a row if you hit 100 no's in a row.
You're not gonna get a no or a yes if you don't ask.
Absolutely, you're just gonna be stuck where you're at.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm just like, hey, if you hear no, that's fine. That's just, hey, ding, that's one thing. That's one step closer. So that's the thing I've had to kind of push a lot over the past several years. But it works.
Yeah.
It works. It's a numbers game, man.
Absolutely. That's what sales is a numbers game. Call 100 people, you're going to get 4 good prospects out of it.
And keep up with that as you're calling them.
Absolutely, because then you want to start learning your close rate.
Yeah, when you learn your close rate, then you're like, well, if I want to do 50 policies this month,
I got to call 760 people.
I got to quote. It's called to quote. So I got to do 500 quotes this month to get 50, right? Because my ratio is 10%.
Right.
So that's what we do. That's what we try to do. Sometimes it can be hard because you can only quote so many daggone people.
Right, because you're relying on them.
It's when you prospect, it's like it'd be nice just to have 500 names to go to every month, but we've got to get them. We've got to fish for them.
And you're gonna call the same person twice on accident. They're gonna cuss you out, yell at you, tell you a bunch of bad things about yourself.
Didn't you call me before? I said, you know what?
I didn't mean to.
No, it's just like that's okay. I just wanted to make sure if anything changed or not.
Yeah.
Since 5 minutes ago. No.
When I first started cold calling, I did that a couple times. They're like, you've already called. And I'm like, you should have wrote that one down. Didn't write that one down. You go write it down. And screw it. I'm going to call them again in a couple of days just to see. But then I was like, I'm probably on a do not call list for them now. But no, Lance, so, say that you get this thing, once you get it up and running, 5-10 years from now, whatever that is, vision for you, what is it you want to do with your time?
Well, I got 10 years. I want to semi-retire.
Semi-retire.
Which means I'm just there half the darn time at the most. And the rest of the time I'm either playing golf, creating relationships, and or just traveling.
Okay.
Having the money to travel and which I will.
Yeah,
I mean, one thing about insurance, if you're doing it if you're 10 years in, you just steady about it, and you don't have to be extremely aggressive to bring as many people in. You just keep your business going. You make you grow from year over year, like I've done every year. It's not one year where I've lost premium or revenue. It's inevitable.
Right. Absolutely. That's similar to this. That's why I chose to do what I do. It's because I know in 10 years, if I work hard and keep doing what I'm doing, I will be able to go play golf every day.
That's a goal,
and that is my goal.
Because right now I'm like, I don't have time to play golf.
I'm like, I can get out there Saturday and I go out there for 36 holes and I can't walk on Sunday barely. I'm like,
you're too young to be like that.
Well, I play softball
can't even
during the week
before I get out there.
Play during the week, play softball during the week. Not good for you.
That makes sense.
But then the last thing I got for you is burn the ship, Lance. So you are pretty much you exemplified the example earlier when you were telling your story, but saying you went from. You had a steady job, and then you go to water sales just to tide you over. But you fully burnt that ship and went all in with American Family.
Yeah.
What was that emotion like for you? Was it nervous? Was it scared? What was it? Or excited?
Excited.
Right.
Definitely excited. One thing about American Family, obviously I always tell people don't pick your agent based off of the company.
Right.
Pick your agent based off of, who they are and if you can trust them or not. But at the same time, American Family is an extremely good company, very employee agent friendly. They take care of their people. but the first few years they make it really hard for you to not succeed.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things that they do to help out. There's some people that don't succeed, obviously. I mean, you want to be at a certain point after 4 years.
Right.
Because if you're not, then you're not going to make it past 5 years.
Right.
Fortunately, I was able to get beyond that point after 4 years.
You're still sitting here.
Yeah. But they just gave me the confidence in knowing that they had my back. But I was excited. I was excited about hiring people. I was excited about training people. A lot of things. And then, of course, when you get started, then you start finding out that, sometimes it's challenging and it's stressful, but at the same time, like I said up front, it's extremely rewarding.
Right.
Because you get to go find somebody else and see what you can do with them.
Right.
And eventually I got better at it, and people have been staying with me a lot longer. So
that's what matters.
I had somebody for 9 years. And then they retired. That's how long they were with me. They were a little older, but they retired. And then, most people stayed with me at least 2 or 3, 4 years. The first couple of years, it was like, I don't know what I was thinking,
A revolving door there.
Yeah, it was. I said, what was I thinking even? Yeah. Anyway.
That's awesome. Lance, tell the people where to find you.
All right, I'm in Hiram, Georgia, 1899 Lake Road, Suite 224. Come see me, or just give us a call, 770-250-2055. Anytime. Love to talk to you guys. The biggest thing I like to do is just educate people. If you have questions, I'm here. If you want a quote, I'm here. But the biggest thing you're going to find out with me is that I'm going to make sure that you're covered the right way. It's not really all about premium, even though premium's good. The biggest thing is making sure you're covered, and we try to treat you guys and people to come in our office like our own family. So look forward to hearing from you guys, and hope to see y'all soon.
Absolutely. Lance, thank you first and foremost for coming on. And then the last thing is we'll have all his stuff linked down below, and burn the ship, guys.